With me here in the studio is the head PR Unit Atiku Media team, Alaba Yusuf. You're welcome to the studios.
So nice to be with you, Aisha. Good
Now,
day, Nigerians.
a good day, you're welcome. The first question is on the minds of everyone. We've seen, we've read through, the former vice president's stance on restructuring. We've read through the current vice president's stance. Could you explain to us what restructuring is in a summary of all that was said?
Thank you very much. Before we can talk about restructuring for the layman to understand, in those days, there's something you call grammar school. Ask yourself, what is grammar? Orderly arrangement of words in a sentence to make sense. They'll get.
Yeah.
So, what is a structure? You got what I'm saying? Structure means orderly arrangement of parts of a complex thing. Therefore, and the relationship between them. Now, so if you talk about, if you have a structure that is not working, you have a house, you feel that, the pillar is not okay, what do? You adjust. In a wheel of a bicycle, or a motorcycle, there's what you call wheel balancing. In the cars, you talk about alignment of the spokes. So it's the same thing that you do. Take it from the Nigerian perspective, the idea of Nigeria, there was no Nigeria before 1914. There are Yoruba people, there were Igbo people, Hausa people, Jukun, all sort of people. And they have been interrelating. And they used to have their skirmishes and the rest of it, but they relate. And you find that they be living among themselves and doing intermarriages. Then, 1914, the amalgamation. 1954, the idea of federation. We're talking about the regions coming together. 1960, you have the republic, whereby independence. 63, you have your you still have all this Republican constitution. But in 1966, there was the Civil War. 1967, the Civil War, because the military came in there, they now made the whole thing something that used to be a federation, where you have component parts that are autonomous coming together. Now they make it a unitary state. Now what we're having now, we don't have a federation, we have a unitary, a quasi-federalism, whereby the center is too strong. Nowadays, you see, it's a military constitution that we have that created all this problem we're having. And that's why you see the idea of restructuring, people and I say, what do? We need to know who we are. The Igbos want to know we are Igbos, but at the same time, we believe in Nigeria.
Okay.
Now, people want to develop at their own rate without one side stopping the other from moving.
I like the fact that you started, far back with history. And people have come out to say that the 1993 Constitution had been the most federal. Do you agree to this? And do you see the 1999... The 1993 Constitution, 1993,
okay,
as being truly federal, and that the 1999 has taken that away by, putting it in the unitary system, and the central is, of course, too strong. Do you agree with this?
Well, constitutions before then, because there are a lot of constitutional processes from 1922 to down to the 63 one. But the 1999 Constitution, which has been amended and we're using,
yes, currently.
it is incorrect to say we, the people of Nigeria. It was done by the military. It was not something from a confab or anything. If the 2014 confab has worked, if the document has been adopted, then you can say we, Nigerians. So what is there is that there's what you call hegemonic ascendancy, a sort of overlordship. Some people have, like something being dumped on you, that you must just do it. If you don't do it's a slave master kind of relationship. So, and that's why you see all the protests, because people are becoming more enlightened. Technology has come in. Telecommunication is now universal. So there's nothing new anymore. There's nothing that tell the editor, I don't want that story out. Now anybody can bring anything out. Therefore, there's what we call globalization. And now agitation all over the world is because people are now more conscious of, and democracy is about people's participation. Therefore, our constitution currently is anachronistic. It is outdated. It is no longer about the people, because everybody wants, even the family, a child will tell you, but I need to make a contribution to the family, whatever you want to decide. To buy a clothes for somebody of 10-year-old, you find it difficult. So what we're saying essentially is that the idea of restructuring, which has been there, because all the problem we're having in terms of insecurity, disunity, even economic woes that we have, education backwardness, public health, and the rest. You could attach all of them to the idea of structure. If it is difficult for you to allow your house to be dirty, because it's your house. If it's our house, you say, but I swept last week, other people will be sweeping. But since it's your own, every day you sweep. So that kind of situation, if you have a police that is from same, I live in England for a long time, and you know, that's what you call the constabulary, just bobbies on the beat. You know, they just walk about and they monitor the environment. They know everybody. Then you have the regional police. Then you have the metropolitan police, which is maybe the London police. Then you have Scotland Yard. Like you have FBI and American.
Now,
so what we're saying here, essentially, is that restructuring means this current structure is not working. And why, if it is not working, those who are projecting that, okay, what should be restructured and what should not be restructured, it is not something, it should be holistic. Let's take it from the national anthem of Nigeria. The name Nigeria was given to Nigeria by the former girlfriend of Lord Lugard, people of the Niger area, right? Nigeria. And he said, Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. You can imagine, it's like a black man that calls himself a nigger, our own dear native land. We've restructured by having arise, O compatriots, Nigeria's call obey to serve our father's land, no longer our native land, our father's land. You understand me? We claim ownership. So what we say essentially, restructuring is not something that is alien. But now, because a lot of problems, people have used politics and religion, ethnicity and the rest. They've used it to sort of encumber the progress on people, or to stop people, or to, you know, downplay or to lord it over others. And that's why we're having all these problems. That's why people are saying, let's make politics, they say all politics is local. Now, we don't know who our local government chairman is. The councillor, we don't know them. If anything happens anywhere, you call Mr. President.
So everything, there's so much
Everything
pressure
is related to Abuja.
on the central. Okay, before we go into analyzing all of this, with us, we have to look at the foundation. Like I said, we have to look at how this started and how, like you said, the 1999 Constitution was given to us by the military. And it looks from, you know, your statements that we haven't adopted and, how would I put it, accepted it to fit our system. That is why there's been different cries of restructuring.
It can't fit. And you know, the old JCC situation, if it doesn't fit, it is not it.
Okay, now we're
because
going to
it is a military thing. Military people are not about democracy. It's a regimental, you know, they have regime. Don't forget that same military at a point ensured that history was not taught in school.
Our second guest is Kunle Somoye. He is with the Buhari Media Organization. You're welcome, Kunle.
Thank you.
And of course, no problem. We understand.
Radio station, so.
The back and forth, we understand. And of course, Alaba has been giving us, you know, the background and the history to what restructuring is being, and how he just said how our 1999 Constitution is not what is, it should be. It's according to his words, where it is not it, right? Yes.
That's why it doesn't fit.
Yeah, I've been watching for quite a while before I came in. First of all, I would like to say democracy is a marketplace of ideas, and we have come to at least a reasonable age of democracy, whereby we are now discussing based on principles. And I'm happy to be joining him today to talk about restructuring. But it's just basically about constitutional amendment. And we recall the back and forth between the Vice President, Professor Osinbajo, and the former Vice President, Atiku. But there are fundamental things that the professor raised in his conversation in the letter to the former Vice President. And he talked about, or rather, he reminded the former Vice President.
Before we go into the details of the back and forth, we're trying to create, you know, the foundation. Wow. Now, tell us what a restructuring is to you.
Well, for me, restructuring can mean a lot of things, but until you are able to highlight or identify the real issues that you should tackle. For us, the APC government, if I may say, we are talking about deeper fiscal federalism. It's not necessarily going back to geographical restructuring, where we go back to either we go back to creation of more states, as in the Confab report, about 18 states was reportedly mentioned to be created or recommended to be created, or we go back to the regional system of government which we practiced in the past. But then what the Vice President asked was that we should raise fundamental questions regarding the revenue base of all the states. And now, even if we were to restructure back to those systems, will the states still be viable? Because those are the issues that we should still raise. And he talked about, or rather reminded the former Vice President, Alaba Abubakar, about the time when they were in government in Lagos State and when the former Vice President was also in government at the federal level. And the AG, as the AGO, Attorney General of Lagos State, they went with... Before
we go into that particular judgment, I know it is quite dicey and you want to talk about that. Let's talk about fiscal, restructuring, fiscal federalism rather on one hand, and restructuring on the other. What do you understand by both?
Before you can talk about federalism or anything, you cannot take the unit without the whole. You understand me? The units come together because it's like in a wheel you have the spokes, you have the hub. You understand me? But they all work together to have the wheel on track. You understand me? So each spoke has a role to play. That's what the states are like. The fact is that just imagine a classroom in a class where there's no exam. So who will study? Do you get my point? So what is happening is that if there's no healthy rivalry, where people let me give my personal example.
Okay, talking about rivalry, and we're looking at, you made mention of the fact that we haven't adopted the 1999 Constitution as is. Talking about geographical restructuring, isn't that an extension, starting from what we already have, the unitary system that, like you also accepted? Don't you think we should look at aspects to start restructuring before we talk about the whole?
What I'm telling you about, what we're talking about, if you have an old car, today you pan a bit, tomorrow you pan a bit, would that make it new? Do you get my point? It won't make it new. What we're talking about, nobody is talking, the physical map of Nigeria is there. Don't forget, it used to be 3 regions, later 4 regions, where you added Midwest. After something, we have 12 states, moved to 19 states, now we have 26, from 26 to 36. What I'm saying, essentially, look, people, it's about people. Look at India. Only India, you have Pakistan. Not saying people should break away or whatever. Nobody's talking about secession. People are talking about injustice. In 1980, I think 1981, I've already had A-levels, 10 points A-levels. We were to be the first set of people to study law in Uniben. But they said, because I'm from all those states, they said the cutoff point for my state was 13. But somebody with 5 points from one state in the north was admitted. You think I forget? So I can't forget such thing. I'm talking 1981.
Okay, now
do you get my point? Now, he said, but in those days, you see the western region growing at its own pace, the north growing at its own pace. You will interrelate. You will do business. What we're talking about essentially now in the UK, after 6 months in a place, you claim the place as your place. You can vote. You can do anything. This one, that the idea, look at what's happening in Plateau and also other places where you have the indigenous and settlers, and who's not a settler? Nobody grew out of the soil of anywhere. Do you understand my point? So when we say essentially, it got to be holistic. It got to be agreed. You understand me? Nobody's saying, oh, bring the cannon, let's break it into pieces. We're talking about something is not working. Things are not working.
Okay, so you're saying the geography is not working. What exactly are we restructuring?
Can I say something? Yeah, I was about to go into the point that the Vice President, Professor Osinbajo, made in his letter. And he reminded ex-Vice President Alaba Atiku of the time as an Attorney General, they went to from Lagos State with their delegations all the way to take the federal government on the issue of restructuring regarding fiscal federalism, having the independence of revenue generation of states. And he pointed out to him definitely that they even argued for tax, that they said the VAT, the tax system should be controlled by the state. What he's also reminding Nigerians of, or what he's reminding ex-Vice President of, is that when we want to talk about restructuring, that he is also in for restructuring. But the idea that restructuring doesn't have a specific antidote is that we are just saying restructuring, but what exactly are we restructuring? He talked again about the confab reports. The 2014 confab report is actually advocating for creation of a team of states. And when states as we have it today cannot even generate revenue, and they rely on the unitary system, that's the federal government, to give them revenue to go and continue their, their day-to-day activities and their monthly activities, it is not tenable to advocate now for something like, for example, state police. I'm also for state police, but we should look at it from, like you said, holistic view, but nonetheless, it has to go through a process. So when we're talking about the process, how do states generate revenue? It reminded us that in 1985, when the Awolowo administration, sorry, is it in 1985? I'm not certain of the particular number, apologies, but when the Awolowo administration was there, how were they able, the Western region was able to generate funds without even relying on the crude oil? So those are the fundamental questions that has been highlighted by the APC. And we should also not forget so soon that 2019 is around the corner. But we focus much more on the presidency, not less on the House of Reps and the House of Assembly, constitutionally mandated to make the constitutional change to the issue of restructuring.
Okay, now before we go into that, I want you to quickly react.
You see, I've just spoken about the former vice president and the current vice president.
Yes, okay, now the conversation
it's been there, it's all in the open. I can tell you, when Awolowo was alive, I happened to be a press officer under Michael Ajashin. The current Afenifere president, chairman was my finance commissioner. I can tell you, as at that time, the party was superior to the executive.
But that's internal.
Excuse me, I'm just telling you, do you understand? Then, Adisa Akinloye was superior to a Shagari when they come to party meeting. And Awolowo was superior to any governor. And they used to mark their papers on your achievement on free education, free health, gainful employment, rural electrification and integration. You understand me? But today, it's part of the military setting when former President Obasanjo came and assumed everything like an emperor and ensure that the leader of the executive is also the leader of the party. And that's what you're having all over the place. Now, where the governor is more powerful than even the party. One person pays for. So nowadays, nobody is paying to be a member of a party. You understand me? And that's why when people now find that it is now where you say your expression of interest or nomination fee is now 55 million, 45 million. Nobody wants to look at how much is your salary. You now say some people came to pay for me. But anyway, what we say here essentially is that the Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, is not talking about the confab per se. He was not president then. He is saying that if you become president, yes, a vice president, how many? No, if you want to take a vice president, how many times? A spare tire, when do you use it?
No, but
hold on. When do you use it? Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm just saying
an economic
excuse me.
In Nigeria. This is also.
Excuse me.
We have a vice president right now. The office is exalted.
Excuse me. No. Excuse me. You just said something. I need to correct it. You know, you have a brother, you're a younger brother. See, Atiku Abubakar was the head of economic team. The what they call the dream team. The Koji Wireless of this world and the rest of them. Who brought them? Aerofire, the rest of who brought them?
Okay, but that's the function of the spare tire.
Who paid off excuse me, who paid off? I'm just saying, look, there's an extent to which you can behave as a vice. That you can push your idea. Even as a wife in the house. There's an extent to which you can push your idea.
Okay, now let's
what we're saying essentially, what he's saying that, look, let everybody, first and foremost, let people have what you call own your resources.
But that's what
there's no state. No. The vice president is not saying that. With all due respect, it's not saying that.
Right,
excuse me. Own your resources. Get license to develop your. In Ondo State, I remember when we took Adifarati to London, to the National Bank of a city of London, to explore the crude, what do you call it, bitumen in Ondo State. Ondo State has the second largest deposit, second to Canada.
Venezuela.
Well, yes, but you cannot do anything about it.
Yes, and we're still exporting. That's what I'm trying to say. The viability of these
he's
states.
saying that, look, let this. No, the states are viable.
Why
they're not viable now is because of what Ekoribado calls Fedibotu Federation or democracy, whereby you just have to people are now addicted to federal allocation.
So
if people are allowed, you manage your resources, and that's why he was talking about for whatever you generate, we do counterpart matching. That's what he said. He was prepared to give minimum of $250,000 or $1 million to each state. So that it's not something they said today we just cut off everybody. You won't get anything less than you are getting from allocation. But the fact that everybody is saying, okay, let's find the average. Somebody made first class, somebody made pass. He said, let's average move. Next time we do the exam, the man that studied to make first class, he will not study.
Okay, now let's allow, yes.
Yeah, in economy, they call something scale of preference. And when it comes to the point that he has made, like I said again, the Vice President, Professor Osinbajo, made those points. And he referred back to 2003 or so when they led a powerful delegation of lawyers to the federal government to ask them to allow the Lagos state to be able to control the tax that is generated within Lagos. With due respect, the ex-vice president then was in the power then. So it is very, very, very funny to hear that that is the same thing that he's advocating for today. But like I said, it is all in the letter that was exchanged between two of them. And I like the idea that we are exchanging ideas. But the fact is, we need to take it step by step. I agree with the entire average, how it's not tenable, for the purpose of competition. But then, when we talk about, okay, even during that time too, the creation of local governments too, they advocated for it. We should not forget that that administration actually starved Lagos State of federal allocation for more than the entire 8 years. And as a result of that, Lagos State was able to look inwards. Now, Lagos State does not really need federal allocation, and some other states too, if you look at it critically from what they've been generating so far. But that has actually made Lagos State to grow. But we are not now saying that other states should not do the same. What we are saying is that that's the paradox of federal allocation, just like the paradox of diversification. You will require crude oil money to diversify. You will still require FAC money to diversify, to invest in the bitumen that he's talking about, to invest in the development of bitumen and whatnot. And like I still said, that everything is still within the ambit of the National Assembly, because they are the ones, for example, the National Assembly constitutional amendment process had just recently been passed. How many Nigerians actually walk up to their senators and their or basically their lawmakers to tell them that, look, sir, this agenda should be at the forefront? What is the agenda? This section 8 of the Constitution, this section so and so of the Constitution should be changed to allow the states to have more power. That is, the federal government should also devolve more power from the exclusive list to the concurrent list. We should also not forget so soon that even the state as we know it today currently undermines the local government. We've seen it in many cases in election time, where the federal government, the local government too, have also been taking subservience to the state governors. So it's a whole process. So it's a whole process. So we need to also inform Nigerians that they should focus also on the lawmakers that are electing next year. That is my own point of view.
Okay, let's talk about the political will. Why all of a sudden we're saying, okay, this is what it's been, from the regions that we had to now the unitary system. Where has the political will been? We talked about how the ex-vice president was in power, and we didn't see much, done as of then. And now this is the benchmark for which he's riding for his 2019 ambition.
Let me tell you, the former vice president has been on restructuring since 1992.
On what ground?
Because everything, the problems of Nigeria, they all have to do. Religion, ethnicity, politics, everything, economy, our social behavior, has to do with how do we relate. I define structure as the relationship between parts of a complex being. So when if those parts are not working together, like you do wheel alignment or wheel balancing, why is anybody against it? Look at the petroleum industry bill. Why was it not signed?
So
Do
we're
you understand my
saying
point? Now, because if the center is made loose, why do you think a former prime minister of Britain, Cameron, can just walk away after he lost the Brexit? Do you understand me? Because the center, there's nothing attached to it. The president of Nigeria,
and reality of
the president of Nigeria is the most powerful president in the world. You have access to giving oil block. People have done that severally. Read Sri Lanka,
At least we can say the same for Buhari.
Excuse me,
the same for
but he did not.
but
excuse me, but he has not signed the PIB bill.
Well, there are some reasons.
And with that, excuse me, hold on now. Excuse
No
me. See, and with that, not signing that, tension will rise in the Niger Delta. Do you get my? Excuse me. I'm just saying to you.
And what is the question?
Excuse me. Tension will rise. When tension rises, the whole political scene, economic scene becomes heated. Now, because lack of employment, because the social structure is in disarray, you see what Boko Haram is doing.
I'm talking about the political will. Let's talk about our leaders, because restructuring is the duty of the legislature.
If the parts have their power, give it to them by the constitution. If the constitution belongs to the people.
Sorry, quickly hold that thought. We have a caller on the line. Our phone lines are being open. Hello there.
Hello?
Yes, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Ugbe.
Okay, your name, please.
It's somewhere in Ugbe.
Okay, Samuel, you can go ahead.
Yeah. So, please, what I'm to the restructuring controversy is that anything less than restructuring the country will lead the country to collapse between now to 2023. The only thing that will save this country from being the same country is for the country to be restructured. That is in total.
Okay, what is your definition of restructuring? Let's start from there. Quickly, what do you understand by restructuring?
Restructuring, to restructure Nigeria means to change the architecture of governance in Nigeria, the architecture of economy, the architecture of social welfare. That is the entirety of the running of the country, from the leadership to every other thing.
Okay, so where can we start from? What is your contribution? Where can we start from? Looking at all of this that you've highlighted, with the current realities on ground, where do you see us starting from?
We should start from making sure that the right people are placed in the right position, from the presidency to the local government chairman and the councillors. That is where we start from.
All right. So
by the time we pick the right people and make sure that there is the right people that are there, I don't think in Nigeria we have any problem.
All right, Samuel. Thank you there for that contribution. You were in the line of thoughts.
Yes, and he said something that somebody did not do something before. Now he's doing it.
He's clamoring for it. Yes.
Yeah, that is human life is dynamic.
So you're saying
politics is not a science of exactitude. Things change, and because of the dynamism of of human existence, circumstances will change to make you realize. Before, this country has never been like this. I can tell you, in those days when we were in university, we used to drive all night, all day, from Unilag to ABU.
Are we not advocating for the same thing?
What are we talking about?
I was out all night, yes.
So, guys, don't tell me you are all night where?
I was out all night.
On which road?
On the road.
Excuse me, so what we're saying, excuse me, my friend had just been kidnapped and he was shot. You understand me? Excuse me, what I'm saying, essentially, excuse me, let me land on this. All I'm saying is that, see, it takes the political will. The former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has said within 6 months, he can what do you call it? Implement restructuring. Now, why do you think? Excuse me. It's what you think? It's executive bill. The political will must be there for you to live. See, the juicy thing about having the oil company, the oil sector under you as president, having the central bank under you, just tell me, whereby everybody talks about anything that has to do with the economy. So everybody comes, like beggars. It shouldn't be like that. So essentially, it is important that all of us must know that in a class where there's no exam, nobody will pass.
Okay, before you react fully, let's quickly take this call and then we'll come to you. Hello there. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, please your name and where are you calling from?
Kosim from Oshun.
Okay, Kosim, go ahead with your contribution.
Yes. We are talking about restructuring in Nigeria.
Yes.
we have been talking, restructuring. Even we do have our people. Where do you want us to be restructured?
That is the question you're asking or you're telling?
Hello?
I said, is that a question you're asking or you're telling? What do you understand by restructuring, personally?
But what I understand by restructuring is that, one, there's going to be devolution of power. In our resources, there's going to be devolution of power there. Even starting from the whole structure of Nigeria, one, starting from our administration, the military formation, and the judiciary, all must be well structured to accommodate the ethnics and the whole nation in Nigeria.
Okay. Now, having defined it as extensively as you did, where do you think we should start from? What sector should we concentrate on right now to start to get the holistic process going?
Yes. The best we are expecting Nigeria to start now is through devolution of power. We should incorporate power to the state and that of resources control. And they should give every state the power to control the resources, and they will remit something to the federal, pay royalties and other levies to the federal government.
All right.
That should be the first thing to do.
All right. Thank you very much for that contribution.
Yeah, like I said earlier, that the beauty of democracy is that it's a marketplace of ideas, and I've been so well informed, even from the callers and even from my guests. But the thing is, we all have a convergence of opinion or ideas, and we are talking about resource control. Now, that is the exact position that the Vice President, Professor Osinbajo, is taking. Fiscal federalism, deep fiscal federalism. And what is the deep fiscal federalism? To ensure that states are able to generate resources for themselves, then of course, plow it back, like some part of it, back to the federal government. But like I'm saying, I'm talking about the practical terms. What are the practical terms? The National Assembly is the constitutionally mandated authority that is independent from the executive arm to carry out these reforms. That is why I still keep going back, because that is the difficult task for many of us. The ability to hold 108 senators or 109 senators and about 300 and something House of Reps members to accountable individually. The ability to hold them to accountable on this issue of restructuring, on the issue of constitutional amendment. And of course, I agree, the executive bill can also come in and play in a role, no doubt. But we should also look at the political angle of even how the National Assembly, as currently set up in the 8th National Assembly, is. As we speak, they are not currently in session. Secondly, we all know the entire back and forth with our budget that was held for about 6 to 7 months, and for some political reasons, which has eventually played out today, and we've seen the person move to where he originally belongs, the same party that the ex-vice president is. Okay,
now, so let for want of time and trying to round up Alaba, can we talk about 2019 coming up? The ex-vice president Atiku Abubakar has come out to say he is going to start this, and you've highlighted using the executive bill and all of that. The reality of this, of course, you understand the reluctance of the electorate, you understand the reluctance of the people, because they're saying where there's been no political will before, it's quite hard to see that stem again. Tell us what is going to change.
I've just told you earlier on that the most powerful president in the world is that of Nigeria.
And you feel that
Excuse me, see, I'm a public relations person. Any teacher or lecturer that all his students failed, it's a failure.
Okay, so you're saying once given the power...
Public relations is the creation of understanding between two bodies or more for mutual understanding and communal development. In this respect, national development. What we're saying, you can't continue to blame people. That's what you call dream. The dream of a political party is like-minded people come together to wrestle for power, to attain power and share that power. When people come together to share power and a section of it decides to take over and rule, and you think the other people don't have right to protest. No. This is not an issue of moral. It's a game. So I won't blame the Senate President for doing whatever he has done. But the fact remains that it is a constitutionality. We're talking about separation of powers. A situation where hooded people can go and take over the National Assembly. Do you understand
Okay,
this?
so
And that's
saying
something that the
president should
governors
be
are
held.
doing by taking the money that belongs to the third tiers of government, which is the local government. So we are talking about a situation where an executive bill is sent to the National Assembly. They call for public contribution. You understand me? Hearing. So you discuss each department, each unit. You cannot stop an Ijaw man from being an Ijaw man, or a Jukun person, or whatever. You understand me? Or the middle belt people, or you have Afenifere. You cannot stop them from being who they are. No matter what. I'm first and foremost a Yoruba person before I become a Nigerian. And I belong to a particular family before I become a part of my local government. What we say essentially is that the political will has to come from the presidency. And unless people are able to vote the right people, it's a problem. Because now, a situation where now we don't even know the guidelines for the 2019 election.
Okay, for want of time, we are definitely out of time, and we'll definitely continue this conversation if you don't mind, to be invited again for us to continue this. But most importantly is the fact that fiscal federalism starting off, giving the states the power to be able to make their own revenue and then remit to the center is one that the current president is a strong advocate for, and we cannot deny. We cannot deny thus. And the Atiku team has come out to say, no, you're not taking that action. The presidency is the one that is to take that action, and once he is in power, he will do that with an executive bill and all of that. The feasibility of that, of course, and the reality of all of that is one thing that we as a country should sit down and decide what we're going to do. Exactly. 2019 is quite sensitive, and of course, we as the electorate that are going to vote, we're listening, we're keen to understanding these concepts. We need to go back and look at the antecedents of, said commentators, I must call it. Yes, we've listened to the back and forth, but then let's look at the roots and take our decision for ourselves. For want of time, this is where it's going to be a wrap. It's been a wonderful and educative program. We're sorry to our callers who we couldn't take your calls. Send in your feedback to our online platforms, and of course, we'll respond to you. Until we come back your way, same time, same station, it has been Situation Room. I am Aisha Jibrin. Bye for now.